Coming up, an accessible AI note taker? Question mark.
You're listening to Double Tap, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Stephen Scott and Shaun Priest.
I do love a question mark. How you doing, Shaun Priest? Happy New Week.
Happy Mondays to you, sir. Yes, a question mark. The old blind dictation. I love that. Thank you.
Well, we're going to be talking about the Plaud AI Note today, which is a note-taking device separate to your smartphone, although still connected to it because you use the smartphone to essentially gather all the recordings that you get through the AI note taker, and then all the summaries and all the, questioning.
AI goodness.
AI loveliness comes in on the app. But the question is it accessible? Tim Dixon is here today to tell us on that. We'll look forward to talking to him. Anyway, how are you? How's the garden going? Because last time we talked about the garden, you were having difficulties.
I'm still having difficulties, Stephen Scott. I went back to the house to get a coffee and fell over a plant pot that someone had left in the middle of the path.
Plant pot man's back. Yay!
No, at least Plant Pot Man was walking around a plant pot. I just walked straight into it, knocked it over, dirt all over the place, and I hurt my knee. So I'm not having a great start to the week, I'll be honest with you.
No, okay. So
sorry.
Basically, you just live in the shed.
I wish if I could get a toilet in here, I would never leave.
Do you know the sad thing is I believe you. That's the sad reality of it. I actually believe you. I think if you ever got one of those office, you get those like office rooms. You can get like a garden room, but it's like an office for people now. A lot of people did this during the pandemic. And it had you have toilet facility in there, maybe a little office, maybe a little bedroom. You'd never leave. If
I submit that to Double Tap Tower's budgeting department, do you think that would happen?
Well, you know that the head of that department is your Sarah. So, she'll need to approve it. That's the thing.
Definitely not that.
It's not happening. Okay. Definitely. Anything else will happen, but not that.
Dear.
Listen, we've got Tim coming up a bit later, but we're going to crack on with the feedback because some great emails I want to get to today.
Email. We get email. We get your email every day.
Ding dong.
Oh.
Here's your mail today.
Yeah, sorry, I fell asleep for a second there.
I noticed, I woke up. You didn't. You actually were ahead of the ding dong today.
I panicked. What can I say? It's the start of the week. I'm not in my game yet. Okay. Carry on.
Were you ever really on your game? Let's kick off.
Yes, please.
Yeah, let's kick off. And let's hear from Brian first up about the subject of Reaper. We've been talking about this, actually. We talked about it last week. The whole thing on Reaper, and that, of course, there's the audio editing program. What's Brian been saying?
Howdy. Just some quick thoughts as I'm halfway through Tuesday's show and my stack of work hasn't gotten any smaller today. I have been wondering for about a week how to best approach finding a new audio interface. I'm so new into Reaper and audio editing that I don't have a lot of great knowledge and resources yet. So thanks for suggesting the Evo audio interface. One is en route at the moment. Also, big thanks for mentioning Scott's name, as it's the one that I keep coming across as I explore the audio editing universe. He is not the only one for sure, but there is a lot of content with his fingerprints all over it. I have been turning to GPT for any Reaper questions, and it does a pretty decent job at helping me learn how to do new tricks in Reaper, such as applying compression real-time rather than adding the effect after. As GPT knows I'm blind, it does tend to give keyboard shortcuts, and I can remind it when GPT forgets and tells me about icons on the screen. It would be amazing to train an AI on Reaper using the manual and the RWP group with all its forum posts. It was great to hear you both today and back into the old groove. It was most needed by myself today. Brian Clark.
Oh, thanks, Brian. We aim to please.
Yes, we try. We fail a lot, but we try. I believe the Scott you're referring to there is probably Scott Chesworth, who does amazing work when it comes to Reaper tutorials and the work on Osara as well, doing those key maps to make it accessible. Him and others, of course. But that was very good. I must say, Brian has emailed me outside of Double Tap in another place to say that he's started to upload a list of Reaper keyboard shortcuts into AI. I can't remember which one it was now, ChatGPT, I think. And he asks questions on that and gets a much better response. Because, of course, if you say, what's the keyboard shortcut to do this in Reaper? It may be referring back to the general mainstream keyboard shortcuts when in fact the Osara key map that we use as screen reader users could be different. So he is doing that now.
So is he building a custom GPT?
No. He's just uploading the file he's got with a list of these keyboard shortcuts into it and then querying on that. Custom GPTs or custom AIs are exactly meant for that. I would love to look into those a little bit more, but so far the only way to access most of them, as far as I know, is through a paid account. So I haven't actually looked into those. But don't they sound amazing? You could just say, okay, build me an AI which just knows about, NVDA or JAWS or whatever it may be, and knows it inside out. You load in every single user manual, every guide you can find. That would be fantastic.
I mean, it's kind of what Freedom Scientific has done with FS Companion, right?
Absolutely.
Slightly,
yes.
I don't know how they've done it on the back end, but obviously they've put an accessible front end on this, which is something which is like over and above, right? But with the custom GPT, when you go into GPT, you can explore all these different GPT options. There's lots of them now. It's almost a store like front for them. And you can go in and get different ones.
Yeah.
So, wouldn't be impossible to do. I say that, of course, to someone who's absolutely not going to do it.
No idea.
But happily will, eat from the table of whoever is choosing to
smarter
make one.
people than us. And of course, Microsoft on their recent event announced I believe it was called the Foundry, which is exactly the same. Just customizing AI to a specific data set that you choose.
Yeah,
which is a great idea.
Yeah, look, I hope someone does that because that would be great. I think this is the key with AI, isn't it? That the problem is you're kind of asking a question about the world, and it's going off to find what it can based on its own data sets. That you really need to try and help it by giving it specific information, and custom GPTs can do that because they are looking just at that set of information that you've given it. I mean, in essence, it sounds quite simple actually what you're building, but it's because it's all the work has been done in the background, right? It's consuming all that information and then it's giving it back to you in conversational mode or text string or whatever. You're
reining it in. I mean, wouldn't it be amazing if we could have a conversation, like a microphone button on doubletaponair.com website?
Hang on.
And just say, when did they talk about do that or tell me about this? And it could search through. Yeah, I mean, that would be great, right? But I have no idea how to do something like that.
But then what would happen?
What?
No one would bother listening to us. They just go off and press the button.
Well, that's very true. Yeah, let's forget that idea.
See, this is how AI takes over all our jobs. We're all finished if you start that. So no buttons. Okay. Or if they are, be sure they're labelled. Okay, let's move on. Thank you, Brian, for that. Charles has been in touch.
Hello, Double Tappers. Charles here with a quick Siri tip. Recently, a conversation was called back to about turning off your devices with Siri, and that does work. I remember trying it myself when this was talked about not that long ago, and I had meant to message saying that it was possible. Apparently, I didn't, but I'm glad somebody else did. I'm here with another one. Did you know that you can lock your device with Siri? Just say, Siri, lock my iPad, lock my iPhone, lock my Mac. It works. It's very helpful, especially when I have, say, started a task on a device and then decided that, oh, my child needs something, or, oh, there's a knock at the door, but I don't want to leave my iPad sitting there completely unlocked. So Siri, lock my iPad, has saved my device from accidental settings changes or child manipulations more times than I can count. Thought it would be helpful for other people as well. Have a great day, everybody.
Yeah, useful for some things.
I think we should apologise in case Charles has accidentally locked everyone's devices out there saying the command.
No, it's all right. It's silly. No one's listening, including Siri.
Yes, I did not know you could lock it as well. That's really good. You know what I would love is a way to unlock it. How many times have I asked Lady S to do something and it says, oh, you must unlock your iPhone first. I just want to say, okay, unlock it with this PIN code. Rather than have to get it out and Face ID it and things like that. It would be fantastic. But
it's the one thing I do like about the Mac as well. If you've got the Mac and you wear the Apple Watch, your Apple Watch can authenticate into your Mac. So you just open up the screen and it will just automatically open up. That's pretty cool.
That works on the iPhone as well, as far as I know.
Does it? Does it work that way?
I don't know exactly how it works, but I did go through the Watch app the other day because I charged up my Apple Watch after finding it on the on my unplugged charger for about the last 6 months. So I put my Apple Watch on and went through and updated. And I did notice the unlock your iPhone with the Apple Watch in the iPhone settings as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but I haven't actually tried it yet. But yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, try it and let us know how you get on. Right. Doug's been in touch.
Greetings to the Double Tap team of renown. I doubt the California will be the same after your visit. If that is for good or ill, only time will tell.
Wow.
What I do know is the process of trying to gain voice as a blind individual is so extremely difficult. Thank you for your efforts in that area, and I boldly applaud what you do and hope more will come. So, I called Anchor, one of your favourite low-cost headphone suppliers, as well as mine. I explained to the person on the phone that the app was inaccessible using VoiceOver. I was getting a lot of button. On top of that, the drop-down menus are essentially worthless. I managed to change one setting. Not sure how I did that because it was unrepeatable. I tried all the tools at hand, as well as holding my tongue to the left while lifting my right pinky finger and sighing softly. It didn't work. After explaining all this, I received a very short and terse reply of, "Okay, I will pass that along." Given that she informed me there was someone to pass to, I tried to seize the opportunity to ask her if I could speak to that person. I was promptly informed that that would do me no good. Yet I insisted. I was then told a manager would call me in 24 hours. Surprise, I received a phone call from the same individual 5 days later. I was informed that she passed the information along to the parent company overseas. Naturally, I asked if I would hear anything back. She said no. I, of course, asked if she would be satisfied with that answer, if that was something she needed from a company. She would not reply to that inquiry. And so it goes. And so it goes. I hang my head and then think about finding a brick wall because that's what it feels like to try to get any kind of voice as a blind individual in the world right now. And evidently, the formula is to be extremely self-deprecating. Make an effort to be funny and to be extremely unassuming. Obviously, I don't mind the levity, and I certainly enjoy a bit of humour, but at the same time, we as a community should be taken seriously instead of made into comedic performers with a face on. Being blind and the use of VoiceStream has made me a very good listener to a lot, and I mean a lot, of books. I have a plethora of information available to me within milliseconds just in my brain, and to be spoken to as if I am a child and unworthy is almost beyond tolerable. So, how do we do this? How do we get voice? Respectfully, Doug from Southern Illinois, the state that knows how to make accessibility inaccessible.
Oh, yeah. Wow. I've got to say, you got to hit the applause button on that
absolutely.
one. That was absolutely true. If I had a mic drop sound effect, we would be playing that. That was just so true. How many times have you interacted with a company to say, this isn't accessible, and you get that kind of response, almost like they're so defensive about it? I don't know what the answer is. I think, having that discussion that you had, which was perfectly fair, Doug, having that on social media with a company does put more eyes on it rather than the one-to-one phone conversation, which, again, you're absolutely right. You've almost got to come in, with that, making a joke of it, because if you come in too hot, they immediately put their defenses up and you get absolutely nowhere. You've got to do that performance. But I would say social media is always the best way because, more people have their eyes on it. And if for us as well, if you see a post like that with someone saying to a company, hey, this isn't accessible, put your voice to it as well. Let them know that this isn't just a one-off thing. This isn't just one person complaining, that this is something that actually, lots of people care about.
Yeah, look, I find it deeply disheartening when you get these responses, and it's probably more common than not, let's be honest. I mean, I had a good experience with Samsung the other day, but I could equally have gotten someone else, and that could have been a horrific experience, and I've had those experiences as well. In the past, you call a company, and I think sometimes the problem can be in the language we use with, like we say, it's not accessible, and I don't think most people fully understand what that means. What do you mean it's not accessible? You can't turn the product on, you can't make it work. They don't understand what because we use the phrase accessible, the word accessible, to mean, screen readers or, vision issues or whatever. But that is a subset of a number of different accessibility options that are in the system. And the term accessible in itself can be challenging because what does that mean? I mean, you could say something is inaccessible in terms of price. or in terms of availability. It can mean lots of different things. So you do have to, when you go into these conversations, you sometimes have to kind of open up and kind of explain a little bit about yourself. And I know it's challenging, but that's how I do it. I often start by saying, I'm blind. I use a thing called a screen reader, which is built in the accessibility tools of the smartphone. Do you know what that means? And if they say, sorry, it's not something I'm aware of, I say, okay, maybe you want to look that up first, because that'll help you understand what I need and how I'm having issues here. You have to open up. And I know it's challenging because there's frustration. You think, I've bought a product, I just want to use the damn thing like everybody else, and I should be able to. But I think if we don't explain that at the beginning, we don't get very far in the conversation. Equally, though, if you are explaining all that and you're still getting and we've all had it, we don't have a lot of blind users, or no one's ever come to us with this before. That's my favorite. No one's ever come to us with this before.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't mean anything to me, because ultimately I'm still a customer. I may be your first blind customer. That's possible. A lot of products that will be the case. I mean, we're talking about this Plaud AI Note. I mean, how many blind people have been trying this out and using it, and possibly that company is now starting to learn about the need for these products to be accessible. So this is always the challenge, right? It's always going to be a challenge, and I'm afraid to say it's always going to continue to be a challenge, because there's always more of them than there are of us. And I'm not us-naming it, but there are always more sighted people than there are blind people. That's unlikely to ever change. So
I still say we need I'm going to say it, I think we need a shame segment. We need what are they doing? Elgato, I constantly talk to Elgato about accessibility of their software. It's not a feature we support. It's not a feature. Accessibility isn't a feature.
No.
Logitech, what are you doing? You can't just keep ignoring accessibility. Sorry, yes, it does.
Unfortunately, it requires so much advocacy on our side, because you have to be on it all the time. I look to national organizations for this. I look to the NFB, the ACBs, the RNIBs, the CNIBs, the Vision Australias. I look to them. That if there's a job they can do, this is it. Because I think the problem is that there's an exhaustion very quickly happens. I mean, there's nothing worse. Buying a product, whatever it might be, pair of headphones, or even a keyboard, right? The Logitech keyboard. I love my MX keys. I have not bothered to go into all the settings in that, because on the Mac app, it's just horrible. I'm just not wasting my time. I can't be bothered, to be perfectly honest. I've got better things I can do with my life. A friend of mine got in touch the other day. I won't say who, but she got in touch the other day, and she was talking about the fact that she's just had this horrible day of dealing with an inaccessible website, or at least a website that was very challenging to use. And, something that would take a sighted person a minute to do took like 30 to 40 minutes. It is just soul destroying when it happens.
It is. Yeah.
It is just, especially when you're navigating around trying to do something and you're like, this all seems right to me. My favorite is when you're submitting a form and it says error and, something's not filled in right. I've gone through every single field. This must be right. And then it turns out that the date was just slightly wrong. But of course, because it wasn't telling you how the date format was meant to be put in, the information came across as wrong. Or perhaps a date picker was inaccessible, so you couldn't even pick the date. And, and it's easy. And I know I've done this before. You say, well, there are lots of tools at hand. And there are, of course. I could get Ira on desktop, but that would cost money. So perhaps maybe I can get sighted help. Although in fairness, I don't have sighted help at home.
Yeah,
so
but this
in my
is
case, then
stuff
I'm
that should
kind
be
of stuffed.
accessibility. This should be accessible anyway. I mean,
I know.
I'm thinking of Logitech software, right, for setting up the keyboard settings and going through the AI prompt builder, setting up the smart assistants and things like that. Smart actions, sorry. Absolutely no reason why that isn't accessible. The navigation structure is all wrong. There's some buttons that don't activate properly. It's laziness. It's lack of awareness. It's ignorance. If they put a developer on that for a day, they could fix it. I have no doubt whatsoever.
See, I get
they don't have the need. They don't feel like they have to.
I get there's a lot of blind advocates out there who say, well, you've got to take the time. You've got to, figure this stuff out. You've got to, you know what, when you're doing this, maybe 4 or 5 websites or 6 websites a day you're trying to navigate through, or maybe it's a new app you've got, or you get a new piece of hardware and you want to test it, set it up, whatever. It is exhausting to sort of get, I mean, you think about a website, just take a website, navigating through it, you're listening to what every single element is. You know, I was telling someone the other day, I'm like, you know, when you're building a website out, make sure you've got your headings in the right place, make sure you've considered structure, even just basic HTML structure on a website, because that can be the difference between being able to easily navigate this website and not. People say, oh, there's a button you can press. Yeah, but I don't know what the button is. And actually, maybe the button isn't a button, it's a link. So I need to figure that out.
Yes,
and someone says, "Oh, actually, it's a picture," or exactly, it's an image, or maybe it's a link as opposed to a button. You know, to them, it just looks like a button, so it's a button.
Yeah,
but it's not. You know, because they've laid. So I'm spending, you know, maybe 5 minutes looking for this button that isn't a button. And it's these frustrations. It just drives me mad sometimes when using a website. It's why I tend to stay away from the web, honestly, because I try and find other ways, like RSS feeds to get my news, and you know, use social media like Mona or for Mastodon, because I just want to keep inside that bubble a little bit, because sometimes I just don't have the energy at the end of a day to think. You know, someone says to me, "Oh, can you just send me this thing, or can you just upload it through this website?" And I'm like, whoa, hang on. There's got to be another way to do this. Oh, no, it's dead easy. I love that. Sighted people say, oh, it's dead easy. You just do this. Yeah. Okay, do me a favor, right? Just switch on narrator, turn your screen off, and try it yourself with only your keyboard. Well, I can't do that. Yeah, well, good for you. Maybe I can't either. Yes, I know I've got the skill to maybe use the screen reader more than you do. Doesn't mean it's easier. It just infuriates me. And I get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it. It just, sometimes
you started something there, Doug. You are a hero, sir.
But it's important we talk about it. Look, it's important we talk about it for sure. It's important we acknowledge the challenges ourselves. But I think when it comes to the advocacy with companies, it kind of has to go to these organizations. You know, like I think about the NFB. You know, I know they've now got a department, or maybe they've had it for a while. I don't know a huge amount about the NFB, but you know, I know they have a department which is kind of dedicated to, you know, talking to companies. And I know that these organizations are often, I know RNIB did this as well when I was there, they would talk to all these companies behind the scenes. I kind of wish there was more of that was public, because I think that might help. It's a bit like when people say, you know, I emailed Apple Accessibility and I never hear anything back. The idea is, or the feeling is, that no one's listening.
Yes.
And actually, they are listening. They are acting on it. It might be that it's going into a queue of work that's going to be done, and you know, the update will come down the line. Tell us that.
Yeah,
if you, I know this, and I get a bit annoyed about this, because I think, I'm not picking on NFB or RNIB. Generally, with organizations, they have departments that are working with companies on accessibility, and maybe there's something being done under NDA. Here's my question: why is it under NDA? Why does it have to be under NDA? Why do you have to do it that way? Yeah. Well, wouldn't a company want to jump up and down and shout about the fact that we're working with the RNIB or the CNIB or the NFB or the ACB in order to make our product more accessible? We know it's not right yet, but we're working on it. To me, that would be really positive. It would give us all a bit more hope in this field that actually something's being done. But if it's all been done behind the scenes under NDA, there's two things can happen. One is, okay, great result, but then we find out a year down the line, by which point we've maybe just ditched the product entirely, because you think, well, there's no point. I'm not buying this product. I'm not buying into it. I've bought it. I'm returning it.
The damage is done to reputation. Yes.
Or alternatively, nothing good comes out of it, and the project just goes away. But we never know.
Yeah.
So no, I think stop with the NDAs, please. Stop with the silence. I don't know what the silence is for. What commercial work is being damaged by accessibility going into it? What reputation is being damaged by accessibility, you know, being built into a product through, you know, an organization for blind people?
I suppose first they need to admit that their product isn't accessible. Maybe they're not.
Well, do you know what? Maybe they need to. Maybe they need to, because that's the beginning of this. Right? But this conversation has to be public. It cannot be behind the scenes and we're working on this thing and we can't tell you. There's great stuff happening. I'm not interested in that. I'm sick of that. Come on, it's 2025 for God's sake. Let's get these things out in the open. Let's hear what's going on. That's why we, as blind people, are having to have this argument and fight all the time. Individually, Doug is sick of it. I'm sick of it.
Yes. We're all sick of it.
I am. I'm so sick of it.
All right. Okay. That's enough now. Calm down. Take a coffee. Thank you, Doug.
No, that's a bad idea.
No, sorry.
No coffee.
Take a green tea. Sorry.
Yeah, green tea.
Some hot milk.
Doug, thank you so much for the message. It does infuriate me, and you know, I'm sure others will feel the same. But you know, you can always get in touch in all the usual ways. In fact, if you want to, here's how.
Get in touch with Double Tap. Email feedback at doubletaponair.com. Leave us a voicemail at 1-877-803-4567. And now you can send an audio or video message to us on WhatsApp. That number is 1-613-481-0144.
And if you want to get in touch, you can, of course, use all those methods. You can find all that information available on our website, doubletaponair.com/contact. It's funny, someone saying, on air? Yeah, because we're a radio show.
Are we?
And we also happen to be on a podcast. We also happen to be YouTube, but we're a radio show first, and we always have been. So we are on the air. Oh, actually, it's
Always.
on air. Yeah, to be precise.
Yes.
Double tap
Okay.
onair.com/contact to get more information. Right, look, let's talk to a good friend of the show, Tim Dixon. He's back with us. I love when Tim comes on because we get the chance to geek out on tech and toys. And Tim's brought some along with him. Tim Dixon, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having us, Stephen and Sean.
Hey, it's
great
good to
to
have
be
you
here.
Yeah, it's great to have you here, mate. And you brought your toys with you today.
I have.
Right, what have you got?
What have you got? Yeah, come on.
Oh, I've got to share.
Yes.
That wasn't part of the arrangement.
No, I
I
was
like to give
expecting.
him my own playpen.
No, but hang on, I wanted you to bring one for all the class. Have you not brought one for each of us?
No, afraid not. But I will do a show and tell.
Please do. Go for it.
So I've got a Plaud Note, which is about a credit card size, slightly thicker than a credit card, and it's an AI note taker. And I thought these look great, but I wasn't too sure about laying the money out for them. But
How much?
yes, £150 for the note.
What?
7 million
100
Canadian dollars?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Or 10 gazillion Australian dollars.
That's true, yes, that's right. It's just add gazillion each time, basically.
Okay, hang on. Wait. Stop now. Now, I don't know what this is, but it's got AI in it. So obviously, we're all excited now. Just
That's what it works, yeah.
before we get into what it is and how much it costs, what does it do?
So the note that I've got, that's the card form, has a little wallet that sticks to the back of your phone. And you can use it to record meetings or lectures or phone calls. And there's a little switch on it. If you're doing phone calls, it takes the vibration of the call and records the audio of a call through the phone itself. So there's no software to do with the phone. It just captures it like that. And in note mode, you can put it on the table in the middle of a meeting. It'll capture everybody. So it's really just an audio recorder. And the AI stuff is obviously not on device. It's you sync it to your phone, it copies it over and sends it up to the cloud.
And there's nothing to it, really, is there? I mean, the device itself, from what I've read, is a single button, really. There's no screen on it. There's nothing really on it because everything's controlled via the app.
Exactly. So I'll just hold it up to the camera a bit. What you've got on the one short edge is a little flick switch which selects the mode, and it's nice and tactile, and you can feel if it's flicked up, it's a call. If it's flicked down, it's for a note. And then there's a little button that's just indented, and when you press that, you can feel a haptic vibration, and it's recording. There's a light on it, obviously no use to us, but a single haptic vibration for it to record, and a double when you stop recording. So it's just one button, you press it, it starts recording, you press it again, it stops recording.
I like it.
Okay, so it's an accessible hardware recorder for audio, but firstly,
Hang on, is it?
What, isn't it? That's what it does. It records audio.
Yeah, okay.
That's it, right?
Just
Okay.
when you throw the word accessible in, that usually always he's
it's
got a
got a
klaxon going somewhere.
It's got a haptic buzz when it started recording. That's handy, right? And it's a switch, positional switch, so you know which way is which once you figure it out, obviously. So that's very cool. So where does the AI bit come in?
So once you've recorded your meeting, you go into the app and you can see it sync in. You can connect to Wi-Fi to have it sync, or you can connect a cable to your computer, but just leaving it as Bluetooth is normally fine unless you're doing like a 5-hour recording. So it syncs it into the app, And then in the app, you can listen back to it, or you can ask it to go and transcribe it, to summarize it, and you can ask it to identify the speakers that are in there. So you can have a nice transcript with all of the speakers identified. And when you buy the device, you get 300 minutes transcription per month for free. And then there's a subscription charge to get more minutes and more functionality. So there's different templates for the output. So when it does a summary, you can set what the template is. So is it a meeting? Is it a doctor's consultation? Is it an action list? And then it will try and do the output based on the template you pick.
Well, that's smart. I like that. It's kind of going a little bit further, isn't it? I mean, I know you could just say in the prompt, even if you just took a transcript, if you recorded something and transcribed it, you could say, look, this was a doctor's meeting or whatever, or, whatever it was, and it would then tune the response. But that's pretty cool that it's got that function in the app. Okay, we'll get to the app accessibility in a minute. I do want to ask you about that. But, you mentioned two things here. One is recording, say, in a meeting or in a one-to-one environment where you can essentially put this little credit card device in between you and the person speaking. But recording calls, that's pretty clever from what I read. So what I was understanding is that you have a little case. It's almost like one of those little MagSafe wallets that comes with it. And then you can...
Exactly like that.
Right, and you can actually then magnetizes onto the back of the phone, right? So it just uses the MagSafe type connector, snaps onto the back of the phone with a Plaud note in it, and then it's using vibrations through the phone. So you can hold the phone up to your ear and have a private conversation, but it's still able to hear and obviously record that conversation.
Yes.
Okay, question. What if you've got a case on your phone? Would that still work?
I've a hard rubber case on mine. It worked fine.
Oh, really? That's very clever. Okay, it's almost like bone conduction, but...
Yeah, it says it works by vibrations. Like the Beach Boys.
Yes, well done. Well done, Stephen Scott. You seem to be having a difficult time in comprehending vibrations.
No, I understand. I'm explaining it to you because you don't know anything.
What? Tim described it right at the start, and then you're describing it again. We get it. It works through vibration.
I like to catch up. I may have missed that bit, but it's beside the point, right? I'm pushing the buttons over here. Give me a break.
And how well does that work, though, in practice, Tim?
Well, I didn't expect it to work at all, if I'm honest, but it works quite well. I mean, you're not getting studio grade recordings or anything, and the volume's lower than the person that's talking in closely to it, as you would expect, but it works well enough for the transcription to work, and you can clearly hear it. The volume's just slightly lower.
Oh, okay. And what have you been using this for? What is the... Look, this...
Oh, you're going to get me into trouble now, Shaun.
Oh, dear.
It's discreet, isn't it? So you don't have to tell... No, you do have to tell people if you're recording.
You should be telling people, yeah.
Yes, you have to tell people if you're recording them.
Because it's not like the app is. It's not like any app on a phone where it would, perhaps alert the other person to you recording.
Well, on the iPhone, we do have the option to start recording right now. You can record call. As soon as you come up, a call comes up, you can double tap on that and it announces to everyone on the call, this call is being recorded. So you can do that on the phone itself, at least on the iPhone. I'm sure you can on Android, on other options as well. So... That's a little bit more fiddly for you to do because you've got to navigate to it. So for calls like appointments, your doctor's medical appointments where you want to be able to digest the information afterwards, obviously asking them first, or in the UK, access to work and making sure you've got documented the conversations you've had. It's extremely useful for that. And because you can have it on your phone all the time, it's with you all the time if you want it to be. It lasts, I think it does up to 30 hours recording on one charge. So you can have it with you pretty much all week and record most of the week. And it be available. Somebody calls you and you just want to catch it, then it works quite well.
Yeah, because I often find the challenge is things like Zoom calls, Teams calls, things that, yes, sometimes they can be recorded by the host, but sometimes you want to record it for your own information. Shaun and I have meetings all the time. I say meetings, just phone calls. This to me is just an endless phone call with Shaun. This is what the show is.
It's a professional
an
meeting.
extension of this conversation. Equally as irritating, Tim. But, the problem is Shaun and I will come up with like the greatest idea in the world. And at the time, we're like, oh, we should write that down. We should take a note of that. That's the best idea ever. And then 5 minutes later, completely gone. It's just gone.
Yeah. No idea what we talked about. Yeah. Happens all the time.
So one feature that the software has that I've not tried because I've not upgraded to the Pro or the Unlimited plans is Ask AI. So not only can you have it all transcribed, you can then go back and ask it, what did I say? When did I say this? Or
but what was that phone number or what date did we say? Those kind of things. Yeah, that's quite useful. I mean, it feels like we're inside Black Mirror, doesn't it? I mean, I remember a Black Mirror episode that was all about this.
Oh, yeah.
With 30 hours battery life, you could leave this recording all day, right? If you put it on your pocket or your shirt pocket or wherever, you could record your day and then have that AI-sized. That's a word now. And you
what
could,
is that?
Get
AI-sized.
Yeah, and you could get a summary of your entire day and every conversation you had. That's a little bit
dangerous.
Scary.
That's terrifying.
But I think that'd be more interesting to me than the phone calls thing. I would like to have it's just something to hand. I think it's very cool. Like you mentioned it earlier. This is the reason I said it's accessible hardware. As little as it is, it's still accessible. The software, the app, this is important. How accessible is that?
There's some buttons not labeled.
Dear.
I have reached out to them as soon as I installed the app. I did reach out to them, and they were very quick in coming back and saying, we're aware of this, we're working on it, we're going to do something about it. And
I love the we're aware of it thing. I just love that. It's like, yeah, okay, could you be less aware of it? I need less awareness. I need things fixed.
Yeah. But there is the web app as well, which seems to work okay. So you can let all the transfer happen on your phone and then go into the web interface and do the AI analysis and that from the web interface.
All right, so you could go into a computer and do it as well.
Yeah.
Right. And how does that work? So when you record, let's say you recorded a chat. Let's say you recorded this. What would happen when you hit stop? Does it then take a little minute or two for it to transfer across and then do its thing? Do you need to action all that, or does it all kind of happen magically in the background?
So what I've noticed is it tends to happen when I open the app up. So when I open the app up, I see it start syncing, and it syncs it onto the device or into Plaud's storage. You can turn on or off whether it goes into the cloud or not in terms of the audio being stored. They call it Plaud Private Cloud. I've got that automatically turned on, which means that I can go to a computer and I can get access to the audio. The AI transcription, which I think is quite a nice feature, you have to click to have it transcribed. You only have to click once and it doesn't take it that long to do it. But the good point of that is, say you've recorded 10 meetings that day and you don't want them all transcribing. Some of them weren't what you expected, so you don't need them transcribing. You're not using your minutes. Going back to the usage. So I think it's 300 minutes is part of the starter plan when you first get the device, 1,200 minutes for the Pro plan, and then unlimited minutes for the unlimited plan.
Okay.
So that would be, what's that, 5 hours?
So you get 5 hours or
60 minutes times 2 is...
Oh, hang on. Just bear with him a little minute. We'll come back to Stephen in just a minute. 5 hours of transcription.
How many hours is it?
It's 5 hours normally with the device when you first get it out of the box without a subscription.
Yes.
The lowest subscription, which I think is about $12.99. I've seen various prices because it jumps around, is 1,200 minutes, which is 20 hours of transcription.
That's quite a lot.
Which is quite a lot. And then unlimited, which is around the £20 mark, is unlimited transcription.
Not bad, actually. Yeah, £20. But how are you finding that 5 hours for your use case? I don't know how often you're using it, but do you think 5 hours is enough for most people?
I think for most people, that's plenty.
It always makes you think of iCloud storage. And I remember it was like 5 gig was all you ever got with iCloud storage. And they still have that to this day in the free tier. You think, seriously, who uses 5 gig and that's all they use?
Yeah.
Shaun probably, because he never uses iCloud. Yeah, I mean, look, this sounds pretty cool to me. I do like this. I was thinking of hitting the buy button on it, but here's the question. You said some of the buttons on the app are unlabeled. How does that affect your usage? I mean, if you turn on screen recognition, for example, can you get around it?
I've been using my vision to get around it, so I'm not sure. I know.
Using your eyes?
On a blind show.
That's blasphemy.
Didn't you see that sign at the door? Ironically, no eyes allowed. No, but look, we all do it. No, but we all do it, don't we? If you've got some vision left, you will use it as much as you can. But I wonder if sometimes when you turn on screen recognition, and don't get me wrong, that can make the app even harder to navigate. But sometimes if there is an unlabeled button, it will pick up on that. Do you know, I wish Apple had a thing where screen recognition only worked in the tab group at the bottom of the screen. Do you know what I mean by that? Because it's often that's where I find all the unlabeled buttons.
And that's pretty much the case here. There's like a tab row. It's not at the bottom of the screen. It's like in the middle with all of their bits on.
So
now,
sorry, Tim. So is the other areas, apart from these unlabeled buttons, is the screen reader able to access the other areas?
It seems to, yeah.
Seems okay. All right. Okay. You can't tell us what those unlabeled tabs are for anyone who's getting stuck.
From left to right.
I'll put you on the spot here, Tim. I do apologise, but
you have.
Don't force him to use his eyes. Come on. But what about the web interface?
I didn't realise I was coming for an eye test.
I know. My favorite line in The Optician was when she said, "Can you read the top line?" I said, "Sure. Where is it?" And then realised that I had no idea what the thing on the wall was. It was just hilarious.
Where's the wall?
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Which wall?
Oh, dear.
Okay, so from left to right, there's overview. Then there's transcription. Then there's summary or summarize. And the last one is mind map, which obviously is no use to us, but for visual people and visual learners, it'll put the conversation into a mind map.
I don't even know what that is.
I don't know what that is. Something to do with Sherlock Holmes, isn't it? Mind maps? What's that?
That's a mind fortress.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Okay. Mind palace. All right.
Yeah. Do you remember spider diagrams at school? Did you ever do those?
Yeah, well, you had like the...
I know you did go to school, Shaun.
It's before my time. I don't know.
What school was, yeah.
Hang on, one more question before Stephen pulls the trigger and buys this.
I am very close, I won't lie.
You mentioned about being able to, the Ask AI feature being a subscription option. So if I've got a bundle of audio there that I've transcribed, can I simply say, hey, what was that telephone number for so-and-so throughout the entire conversations I've transcribed already?
I believe so.
Okay. All right. That's
I've
quite
not
useful.
subscribed to try it.
Right.
Okay.
Because that would, I guess makes sense, right? It's all the recordings in the cloud. I guess you'd have to keep everything. And I'm guessing once you move them to the cloud, they come off the device, so you're making room again on the device for that. I mean, this sounds pretty cool. I think, it's funny because we've always said for a long time we're looking for the new note taker. And I do see a lot of blind people talking about this product. I think a lot of people might be overlooking the inaccessibility of some of the features of the app because of the fact they can either work around it or because the device is worth it. Is that your take? Do you feel it's worth the effort?
I would say so, yes. Yeah, okay. I would. And the device itself, what I like about it is, I know the iPhone can do the vast majority. We can go into voice memos, we can record meetings, we can put our iPhone on the desk. But when I'm in board meetings for the charity that I'm a trustee of, and that I want to use my iPhone to look at notes and, have stuff play back. So being able to put this in the middle of the table and have it record and know that a phone call coming in or something like that won't interrupt what's going on, that separation, we talk about it a lot with assistive tech, that separation is actually really useful.
Yeah, I agree.
Can I just say, I think, if a certain other app added AI into it, I can see that being very popular as well. If we just press record, because it already does transcriptions.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
voice memos could do it. I mean, supposedly it's got Apple
Apple's own
Intelligence.
AI could do it. Well,
Oh, I mean,
yeah.
no, I mean, forget that. That's never going to happen because that's absolute tosh, as you well know. But I would love to see, Apple build this in. But equally, I think you're right. I think sometimes you want to have the separation with the device. And look, when you're in a meeting, I don't know, maybe putting a phone in the middle of a table recording. Maybe people don't care anymore. I mean, I was going to ask you about this with the whole privacy thing, because where are the notes going? Where is the audio going? Like you said, a doctor consultation. Are you concerned about where the data goes once it because it either goes into the cloud or wherever it goes to get processed?
I am concerned, but with Plaud, they seem to have a lot of documentation around their process, which cloud services they're actually using and where your data's being stored, so you can get access to see where that is. Now, I've not... when I say doctor's consultation, it's not like my name and lots of the personally identifiable information, but it is still confidential. But I'm willing to take that over not having memory of what was said or not being able to refer back and go, oh, that's what they said. There's a benefit there.
Oh, definitely. I seem to remember there was a few of these a while back. There was the concept, was there even a Kickstarter of things, either a pendant that you wore or something you wore around your neck or something you wore around your wrist that recorded, as I mentioned earlier, the entire day.
That's the one I bought that. No, I bought that off the Kickstarter and I'm still waiting for it to arrive. It was called
Kickstarter,
the Bee.
baby.
I know. That was called the Bee.
Okay.
As in Busy Bee.
Plaud was originally a Kickstarter or a crowdfunder as well. But that's been on the market for about a year now, I think.
Yeah.
I was looking at cheaper alternatives. We all want the cheapest we can
Of course,
get.
yeah.
You're my hero, Tim. Well done. It's the Shaun way.
It's the everybody way except Stephen Scott.
I've told you before, I leased the Mac Studio, okay? I've already had this out with my wife. I'm having it with anyone else.
Okay.
didn't buy it outright.
I know you're keeping Barclays up and running. And other banks, of course.
Everybody
Other banks are available.
Hey, listen, I'm not happy with this tariff situation because I think I fixed the economy personally. And now Trump's come in and trashed it. Thanks.
Well, just be thankful you bought it before.
Hey, listen, I saw that the other day. I saw an article about people now buying, almost stockpiling iPhones because of the fear of what next year's costs are going to be.
Including Apple, by the way.
Exactly.
Yes.
5 cargo planes of Apple devices. So
in terms of Plaud also do, and they do the Note Pin, which is a little pendant that you can put on your wrist, or you can clip it to your clothes, or you can wear it around your neck like a pendant. But there are some others, like I think it's Magmo was another one that I saw. But the review, it's £50 on Amazon around, or the Pro version's like £80, and it's supposed to do the call recording. But all the reviews say it's a waste of time. So I think it really comes down to how well it's put together. And what took me back with the Plaud was how the engineering behind it. It's so thin and so slick and has that battery life in it and the microphones and everything else. It's really nicely done.
very nice. How do you charge the thing?
Unfortunately, a proprietary magnetic connector.
Oh, Shaun won't be
Our
happy.
favourite.
Shaun won't like that.
No, I'm not happy about that, I must say. Okay, all right, it is what it is. Well, I just thought, as you said, it was so thin, a USB port in there probably isn't going to work. So, okay.
They just wouldn't, they wouldn't be able to do it. So I don't know if you can, well, I know you guys can't, but for the audience, on the back of the attachable case, there's a little gap where you've got the 4 pins. So you don't have to, you just like unclip the wallet off the back of your phone, put the cable on, and that's it.
It's kind of a shame it doesn't charge off the MagSafe area
Yeah.
of your phone. But
Maybe that'll be
not-
Plaud 2.
well, I think that's down to the phones not being able to send it the other way. They can suck the energy in, but not spit it out, as far as I know.
Oh, yeah, it's not two-way. That's right. The
not
Android's
two-way.
Can I just say, right, I have recently been playing around with the Samsung S25. I am liking
did you?
what they
Should
do.
have mentioned
I know, I
it.
should have mentioned it. And I'm liking it. I'm liking this. And, then I was hearing Carrie Morales from Carrie on Accessibility talking about the Samsung Galaxy Watch and how beautiful it is. And I'm thinking to myself, Hello. Because, I love a gadget, right? And I'm thinking, no, I remember every single Android watch I've ever bought has been absolutely terrible and the worst thing ever made for accessibility. Just thought I'd add that in there in case Google gets
I'm
nervous.
not saying anything. I'm just letting that hang in the air. Unbelievable.
That's the last I'll ever get from Google. But here's the thing, actually with Gemini and I guess with Galaxy AI and God knows there's Bixby as well on the Samsung side, I just wonder if there's any capability within Android to do all this already and use the watch. I mean, the watch is what we're wearing, right? We're wearing watches all the time. That would be the best device to do this. I really hoped Apple Intelligence would come to the watch. I mean, to be fair, I'm glad it didn't because it would just suck up battery and do nothing. But, at least if it was functional and good, then I could actually use that to do all my notes. I mean, I take all my notes at the moment on the Apple Watch. I have the Apple Watch Ultra, and I use the action button on the side as a trigger for the Voice Memos app. And that's how I take all my notes. Now, what I do with those is then I have to bring them in and then have them transcribed, and then I have to do all those steps myself. Obviously, with Plaud, I don't have to do that. It'll kind of do it within the app, which is kind of cool. But I just wish that these smartwatches and perhaps the Samsung or the Pixel, if you don't, care about accessibility, you can use that. And
It's fine.
it's not fine. It's terrible. Have you heard it talk? Have you heard that Pixel 3?
Oh, we're talking about the watch. Sorry.
It's dreadful.
Yeah.
I mean, for a company that makes actually pretty nice smartphones
Calm down.
and really nice hardware,
All right, relax.
it's just awful when it comes to accessibility. It's like, hello, calm down. It's 4:41.
Okay.
It's one of those old talking watches
Mrs.
back in the
Doubtfire.
day.
Okay.
Remember those the ones that used to go, and then it would tell you the time.
I love the rooster. I miss it.
Middle of
every
class,
day.
every day I'd get that because I'd always, my shirt collar would touch the button by accident. And every
From the
single
70s.
time, yeah.
Well, hang on then, because that's a fair point, right? Is there a chance that AI that we're going to have on our phones fairly soon, we hope, right, is going to sort of take over from this anyway? They'll be able to transcribe any audio that you manage to shove into your smartphone at some point anyway. Is this a sort of transitional device?
So
do you
negative.
think, Tim?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
if people want to do this, they can do it now with the tools they've got. Where I see the Plaud and devices like it creating themselves a little market is the fact it's a separate device, which means going back to using your phone and everything else. If you want to use your phone to read the agenda for the meeting you're in and record, you can't do that. So having that separate device makes it more tangible, or easier to do. So that's where I think it really fits in, and then the flow as well, and not draining your battery. I mean, that's another good thing. If it's sat there recording voice memo for an all-day 8-hour conference, then you can imagine what your battery life's going to be like towards the end of that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the problem. Tim, it's great to talk to you. Plaud is Plaud, isn't it? Plaud?
That's correct.
Not PLOD, as I first thought it was. That's why I could never find it. PLAUD. So the way I say it, AI Note is the name of this thing. Go check it out. And
Where can you get
let
it
us know.
from?
I saw it
In
on
the
Amazon.
US, you can go direct to Plaud.ai. And I'm sure it's on Amazon in the US. In the UK, it's on Amazon, and I would guess in Canada it's on Amazon. But if you go to Plaud.ai, it'll be available from there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on and sharing that. That was really cool. Thank you, Tim. That was a lot of fun. I like having Tim on.
Oh, always. Are you getting this then?
I have to say, I'm very intrigued by it. I just love the fact that you can do the calls on it. Yeah, I like that. I'm quite intrigued. I think I may.
Okay.
The old.
Look,
button.
it sounds like a very interesting technology. I'm just not sure how often I would use it. I don't know. But
No, but here's the thing. How much do you need to use it? I'd say all the time.
well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, maybe. I'm still interested by the AIing your entire life I must admit, I know, privacy concerns and things like that, but if I had a device that could just keep note of everything I said and everyone said to me, that would be so useful to me.
Well, the one I mentioned there was the Bee. That's the one I did also pre-order, but I don't know when that's going to come around. I'm hoping perhaps this month. Well, I'd hope this month, maybe next month, that it'll show up. I know I'm in the next round of deliveries.
Oh, it's Kickstarter. Could be 20 years from now. It could be tomorrow.
And then
who knows?
all of a sudden it arrives, and then, it's like the Rabbit R1 all over again. Absolutely useless. But the idea with this was it's like a watch, almost like you wear it, like a pendant that's on a watch, and you can just wear it all the time and have it on. And that's exactly what it's for. But no, this thing, and that was $50 or £50, I think it was, that I paid for that. So that's not a huge amount. This is
That's
a little
a
bit more.
bargain.
But no, very intrigued. Very intrigued.
If you receive it, it's a bargain.
Well, that's right. Otherwise,
if
it's
you
a complete
don't,
waste
it's
of money.
not.
Yeah. Listen, that is it for today. Thank you as always. Tomorrow we're going to be talking with Orcam. We're going to be finding out what's going on with Orcam these days, what they're up to, and what their latest product lineup is. I haven't heard from Orcam in a while. Great to have them finally reach out to us here at Double Tap and get themselves on the show. So we'll be talking to them tomorrow. And of course, we'll get into more of your feedback as well. For now, though, that is it from us today. Thank you as always. Keep in touch and keep on tapping. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.